My business isn't getting conversions or sales, and I've been trying super hard and nothing's happening. Does that sound like you? Then stay tuned. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl Sequoia, founder and CEO of Commas, and today I am going to dive into a creative audit with you guys. What's a creative audit? Basically what I do is I will take a business, I don't care if you're in construction, real estate, tech, e-commerce, whatever, and I will go through your website and your social media channels and let you know why exactly your business isn't converting for the sales that you are expecting. So I went through earlier today and analyzed Broken Fab's website and socials with her live on IG and left her with some tools that she needs in order to get those conversions she's looking for.
When you spoke to me, you said that you basically were having issues getting your company to where you wanted it to be, right? On the creative standpoint, what did you need to do? So I pulled up all of your Instagram tabs and I have them in front of me, and I also pulled up your website. So I have that in front of me as well. So basically from your Instagram, immediately what I see, and I was with Instagram, actually I was at the Facebook Instagram headquarters this past week, so I actually have some really good tips for you in order to like boost your growth in terms of transitioning those to sales. So I'm gonna give those to you as well. But okay, so first things first, when I look at your Instagram page, immediately what I see is Project Yonkers that comes up first, right? And is that exactly what you want to come up, or are you really trying to push this brand? Because if you're really trying to push this brand, what I would like to see first is your Broken Fab links come up first, right? And what I actually want to see from that is I want you to connect that to your actual Broken Fab Instagram page. So what you have right now is on your main page, you have Project Yonkers, Broken Fab, and then your hashtag, which is good, right? So, and she's telling me no, she wants her brand first. So we want to change that. We want to make sure that you have Broken Fab first, then your hashtags, and then Project Yonkers, because that's something that is secondary for you. So go ahead and switch that. Also, when I go to your Broken Fab page itself, what I see is trendy and timeless timepieces at affordable prices, which is a good tagline because people know very specifically what you're selling and they know, it's going to be affordable, it's going to be trendy, right? So what I want you to do though, because there's really when I look at this, because there's no brand relation, I don't understand who's behind this page. So what I would do is I would create a link and I would just say founder of, or, and link back to who you are. So at least when I come, if I'm searching through these hashtags, I actually get to see specifically, who's behind this page, because a lot of the times with brands, you don't get to know the person, right? And so we want to make sure that we know who's behind the page. So go ahead and add that to your page and let us know, okay, this is the founder, so that we can click on. So if you go to Commas, of course, you can see that I'm the founder. And then if you click on, you can see my actual personal page. So that's what we want to do next. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through this actual page. First things first, as a brand, when I click on your website, I'm gonna go ahead and click on your website. So immediately I see, and if you guys wanna go, make sure you guys click on her name so you can follow along with me and you can see what I'm talking about. You can add these tips and tricks to your actual brands, and your entrepreneurial journeys will be a little bit easier too. So that's the point of this creative audit right now. Okay, so now I'm on your actual website page. And on your actual website page, immediately what I see is these like white collared shirts. So she's at shopbrokenfab.com. So I see these white collared shirts and I'm going, okay, so are we doing some high-end retail luxury? What are we doing here? And then I scroll down and then I start to see your actual clothing brand. So then I see your Boss Reflective tee, I see your Broken Fab sweater and like all that stuff, right? But your first picture doesn't tell me what the brand is about. So immediately, like going back to your initial Instagram page with your brand itself, we wanna see like that pow. We wanna see, okay, this is who she is. So a picture of you with your brand on it, your t-shirt logo on your brand, on that front header page. We absolutely need to see that. So we see who's behind the brand. We absolutely need to know what we're getting into first, right? So I would go ahead and switch that out. Secondly, when I scroll down, I start to see all of your different merchandise, right? So you have your Boss shirt on a clean white background. You have your Broken Fab shirt on a clean white background. Then you have your Gold Digger shirt on like a background where you're like in an environment, right? So what I would do is I would switch that out, put that on a white background so that you have consistency. So the main thing, you guys, when you're building out your brands is you want consistency. You want to pick maybe 3 colors. Like if you look at Commas' page right now, we're big on red, yellows, blues. We'll dip into the green sometimes, but you want to, and if we do, we'll show you that thread happening. So you want to pick those colors and you want to stay with those colors. So if you're going to have your shirts on your white background, make sure you go ahead and you switch out everything so everything's on that white background so it stays consistent. And then what you can do if you want to create more pizzazz on your actual website is you can create your Instagram links at the bottom. And so then people can see like them in the environment. We can see your girls like in their environment, etc. One thing that you did really, really well, and I think you guys all need to take note of this, if you haven't already, is you actually have a subscribe page. Now, the importance of this is Facebook has billions of users, Instagram has billions of users. The importance of having a subscribe page is when somebody comes and they actually subscribe to your account, you then own that customer. So when Facebook algorithms change, when Instagram algorithms change, they change all the time, right? When those algorithms change, you start to lose the customer, you start to lose your customer engagement. You guys can see that from your numbers going down. You can see kind of how things will manipulate within your own platforms, right? But if you own the email address, you own the customer, then you can push out whatever content that you want to push out to those customers. So you guys make sure anytime that you have any type of brand that you're creating an email list and you're building on that list so that you then own the customer. So that's super important, and that's something I see that you have. And you have an opt-in, which is also really important. When you go to her website, immediately it'll say 15% off. If you want 15% off, go ahead and put your email address because that incentivizes the customer to actually put their email address in there. So that's really good too. So props to you on that. So let's go back to your Instagram page. So again, going back to trend, colors, themes, making sure everything is on point. So on your Broken Fab Instagram page itself, you did a good job of actually posting the content and like making sure that we see the content. But the thing that's confusing, and I know, and I'm assuming there's different products. I'm assuming maybe you have bathing suits somewhere because I'm seeing a lot of bathing suits. I'm assuming that you have that intermixed within your actual sweaters and your t-shirt line. Those are all assumptions. I'm not really sure. So that's one thing that I'd like you to clarify. Like in your actual heading, we sell fabulous shirts or swimsuit wear or whatever it is. I need to know, very specifically what that is so that I don't feel like when I'm scrolling through your Instagram that you're actually off brand. I want to make sure that everything is very succinct. She said, try to switch pages to see if I could join. Let me see if I could have her join on this other page. Let's see here. Nope, it still says you are unable to join. I don't know if it's something with your phone itself. Maybe switch it to vertical. I don't know, but I'm gonna keep going because I'm not sure what's going on tech-wise. Okay, so that is one thing that I would definitely clarify. Like, make sure people know when they're coming to your page, what specifically you're selling, because right now I'm a little confused as to what that looks like. Again, going back to what I said earlier, having a theme. So you are in a world of maybe 100 million brands, right? So how do you make yourself actually stand out from that? So there's different types of themes that you can have on your Instagram account where you can have, maybe it's a quote and then a photo. Maybe it's a tier of photos that are all the same color, and then there's an angle on those photos, or there's a different visual in terms of how people are a different perspective on how people are looking at that same shirt. Just make sure that it's consistent and it pops. So when somebody's looking at your brand, they're going, oh snap, like this relates to me, and this is something that I'm super, excited about getting involved with, or I'm super excited about like purchasing, etc. So I would say be very consistent in the way she said she's struggling with that, which is, thank you for telling me that. So the way that you can do that with ease, because in our minds, we don't really know going into it, okay, if I post this photo, is this gonna look good next to this photo? Like, just the way that our minds work functionally, it's just not gonna work like that, right? So what I would do is I would download an app called Preview, or Later, or so it's UNUN. UNUM. And so once you download those apps, you can basically see your Instagram feed ahead of time, and you can see very specifically if these photos are gonna work next to each other. And then once you do that, then you can actually say, okay, perfect, I'm gonna post them on my page, right? So you kind of wanna curate your feed ahead of time. You don't wanna just jump in and just start, posting stuff, because it's never gonna look good together. I'm a creative, like I directed commercials and music videos, and I still can't just like post and like make it look amazing, right? So make sure that you curate your feed ahead of time and then post. So that just takes some planning to just make sure that you're maybe setting aside time on a Sunday, Monday, whatever, and say, okay, I have these 5 photos that I want to post throughout the week, and then those are the photos that I'm gonna have, and then those photos roll out. You've already looked at them, you said, okay, they look great, and then now they're on your platform, and then you're rolling them out, all right? So cool. So I would say those are my main tips for you off bat. I know that was a mouthful. I think one of the things that you've done really well also is you've kind of integrated yourself into the brand. I would say do that a little bit more so people get to know you. People want to connect with somebody. They want to know somebody, is behind the brand that they are excited about, that they connect with, that they have, commonalities with. So put more content in terms of what, who you are. So going back to a quick recap of everything, if I can remember it off top. If not, you guys can definitely watch this live again. Making sure you put your name into your bio so people know who that is. Be very specific in terms of, she's like, buy, people buy. That's another thing. I'm gonna talk about that in 2 seconds, but be very specific in terms of like what you're actually selling, and just be clear and consistent across the board in terms of your brand. So again, you guys, this is a creative audit. If you guys want something like this for yourselves, you can click the link in the bio. So I'm gonna talk about specifically telling people to buy. So that is a tricky situation, because people are gonna buy things that they're absolutely excited about, right? And it takes people at least 3 points of interaction before they actually purchase from you. So they need to, one, feel like they're getting extreme value. So are they excited about your sweaters? Like, are they excited about your shirts? She said, well, no, I meant people don't just buy things, I meant people don't just buy things, they buy people. Yes. Oh, yeah, you are correct. People buy people. You are 100% correct on that. Sorry, that was a misinterpretation. But I'm going to continue this thought, because a lot of people do try to force the buy. And I want to help you guys understand like why the buy actually happens, right? So basically, when people purchase from you, again, going like back to what Broken Fab said, they are actually purchasing from the person. They want to know that they can trust the person, that they're excited about the brand, and that they can support the person, right? And even if it's a bigger brand, like for example, on Amazon and eBay or whatever, you don't necessarily know who's behind the brand, but you have such trust within the brand already that you're already starting to purchase, regardless of the fact that you don't know who, Jeff Bezos is from Amazon or whatnot, right? So that is the biggest tip for me when you're first starting out and you're building your brand. Make sure that you are absolutely connecting with your user. Make sure that you're absolutely connecting back to the brand. People know who you are, and then they're hearing your story, and then they actually are engaging with you. So that's all. I gave you guys a lot of branding tips in the beginning, but let's jump into like the actual Instagram tips, right? So again, I was at Instagram, Facebook last week at their headquarters, and there's a lot of things that they're doing in order to make sure that you guys are able to engage in your accounts, that you have sellable accounts, if you have if you're entrepreneurial, you have those type of accounts. And the main thing is that they want for you guys is engagement, right? So they want you guys to be able to jump on a live. For example, like right now I'm talking about the creative audit, right? So this is me engaging with you. So they want you guys to be able to jump on your lives. They want you guys to be able to use your IG stories. They're massive on IG stories. They're gonna push to the top of the algorithm way faster than anything else that's in your feed. So they want you guys to make sure that you're doing that. They want you guys to make sure that you're also, I wanted her to come into the live, but she couldn't because something's going on internally, technology-wise, but they want you guys to make sure that you guys are connecting with the people, right? And so they're gonna create these tools. They're gonna continue to create these tools to push that forward for you guys. So that's one of the tips for you, I would say. Everything that's on your page should look like a portfolio. So essentially, I should be able to go to your page and say, oh, this is her portfolio of products, right? And then your lives, your stories, your IG stories, your highlight reel, that's all behind the scenes. How's she making the clothes? I actually saw some of the content that you had on there where you had the girls in the photo shoot. That was great. So continue to post stuff like that. How's she out, selling these? Like, what's her behind the scenes projects look like? A lot of people want to know what that is, okay? So continue to do that. You're doing really well there. And yeah, I think you have a good, solid foundation and a solid base. I would say focus on high quality content as much as you can. If you want to grab somebody off Craigslist and do a photo shoot for $100, just so people are seeing your content as high quality as possible, shoot as much as you can and then use those pictures, and if you have your cell phone, you can shoot on there. If you're shooting on a clean backdrop, it's gonna look better. Or if obviously I have an iPhone XS, so if you're throwing, the background out of focus, you wanna always have the focus on the product. So make sure you're doing that. And your stuff is doing good. So let me ask you, since you're obviously online and I don't wanna just talk at you, what are you having the most issues with? And have I answered that already? Because if not, let's go ahead and jump into that. So again, you guys, if you're just tuning in, we are doing a creative audit with Broke and Fab. That is her entrepreneurial brand that she's selling, clothing line online. And what happens in these creative audits is I actually go through your products and services with you and tell you exactly what you need to do in order to improve your content, in order to improve your sales, your revenue retention, and to actually have a successful business. So right now, I'm asking her very specifically, what else is there? Because I've given her tips on how to improve the content in terms of her bio, what she needs to have on there. She said, yes, I've answered most of her questions. Perfect. So we are good then. Just to recap before I hop off, again, I've struggled with this, with conversion. Okay, good. Okay, so let's talk about your conversion. So what's happening when you convert is there's a sales funnel, right? So the top of your funnel is your intake. When you log online, and so me as a customer, if I log online, I see you and I say, oh, okay, she looks like an interesting person. Let me see what she's marketing. Let me see what her products are. And I click on your actual page. Then I'm going to see your portfolio of your products, right? So then I'm like, okay, cool. I like this gold digger shirt. This seems interesting. Let me go ahead and click. So the first thing that you should do is not, she said, we get the page views, but converting them to customers. Yep. Okay. We're going through that right now. So the first thing that you want to do is not necessarily have, if I go straight to your Broken Fab website, I just feel like you're selling me right off the bat, right? So you want to have an opt-in, right? So I saw your pop-up, but instead of a pop-up, I would have a landing page. And on that landing page, I would have, hey, 15% off, maybe a short sentence that says who you are, what you're doing, couple sentences, who you are, what you're doing, a dope photo, like the flyest photo you have of all your products, and just an opt-in email address that says, okay, this is exactly what I want to sell or what I'm selling, and you get 15% off if you are interested in more content, if you're interested in knowing our discounts or whatever it is that your offer is, right? So that's all that's on your landing page. You don't have your clothing on there, you don't have your price points on there, you don't, because that's giving people an opportunity to actually tune out immediately, right? So if you go to commastheseries.com, you're gonna see our first thing, we have a sizzle, like a trailer on there, and then immediately we have a sign in for our newsletter, right? So that's the top of your sales funnel. So once you have the sign in for your newsletter, you grab the customer. Then you want to nurture that lead. What you don't want to do is like start hitting them with like, oh, here, buy this, right? So going back to the point of adding value, and people buy from people that they like. So nurture that lead, send them a newsletter maybe once a week, every Thursday, so they can expect it. That's when we do ours, every Thursday. So every Thursday, so they can expect that, and then say, hey, whatever that value is, like, hey, you trying to start a brand, and leave them with some value, and continue to do that, nurture that lead, and then create a link at the bottom that links back to your actual your website. So then people, if they want to purchase, and then thematically going back to the fact that your brand is an inspirational brand. You're talking about gold digger. You're talking about like, you're not a bitch, you're a boss. Like all these things, like on your shirts, all this messaging that actually has some inspiration behind it. So maybe that's what actually goes into your newsletter. Like, how do you become a boss? Like top 3 tips to become a boss. Like how to set your goals for the week. Things like that are going to be interesting to your audience, because those are the people that you're trying to attract. So that's what you want to put into those newsletters, and then give those people an opportunity to then explore on their own. And then as they're feeling this community, as you're building up this community, then you're gonna be like, okay, hey, we have products and services if you're interested, that you can also tap into. So that's what I would do. I would make sure that you're building a community, because there's tons of t-shirt lines, there's tons of sweaters, there's tons of, all these things. Gold digger, I've seen it. It's not an original concept. So how do you make it original to yourself, your audience, and your community? And that's what you want to focus on. So I think that's probably your missing link when it comes to your funnel. And ultimately, you're going to have, a couple people who are going to come in. It's going to feel like, oh, there's not a lot of people in this community. But as you start to grow, you'll see that the community grows itself. One of the things that they talked about that I totally champion, and we do this with Commas, when I was at Facebook last week, is Facebook groups, right? Because you're giving your community an opportunity to talk to each other. Maybe you do goal setting Mondays, and then they can set their goals together. Maybe it's like inspirational Wednesdays, and they can talk about what inspires them, right? So you're using Facebook groups to do that. Obviously you can't do that on Instagram because there's no group function, but Facebook groups, that's exactly what that was created for. So that's something that you want to do as well. So then they can start to talk to each other. And then ultimately what you will start to see is that they're going to start purchasing just because they support this community. Not necessarily because they're like, oh, I want this sweater. It's because there actually is a community behind it, and people are excited about you, your products, your brand, and like the messaging that comes with it. So that is the missing link to me in terms of why you probably are not converting into sales, because the originality is lacking. And as soon as you can fine tune that and like wrap that into one, then you will be good to go.
All right, so hopefully you got some tips, tricks, and tools for your own personal business. Let me know in the comments below what you learned. And if you want your own creative audit, go ahead and log on to www.commastheseries.com and sign up. We can do it live, or we can take it offline, and we can do it personal just for you, okay? As always, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button so you're not missing any entrepreneurial tips and tricks for your business on the creative and tech side. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.